Hello, everyone. My name is Tim. That's Pat. I didn't make it full screen before starting to record, so that's at the beginning of this video for everyone. Little glimpse into the thing. Pat doesn't have the whiteboard counter anymore with how many times I've messed up, so that's good.
That he knows of.
Where is it? Pull it out.
Get
I
in.
mean the whiteboard, not
Too late. Too late.
whatever. Okay, anyway, this is, if you're still watching, this is Gridiron Dynasty Fantasy Football Podcast, episode number, yes.
Not a porno, unfortunately. Sorry.
It wouldn't be on YouTube. This would be on a different site.
Maybe we confuse the censors with the first 26 episodes.
Traction. Maybe we'll get more traction if we post on one of those sites.
Have you seen us?
I don't know. I'm semi TikTok famous now, so maybe I should post this on my TikTok. I shotgunned a beer and I have almost 900 views on TikTok. Semi TikTok famous. I can really launch our platform here, Pat, to go more than just the 5 viewers that we have. One of which is currently out of view, but in my bed right here, and her name is Danielle. Danielle, say hi to everyone. Okay, they can't see you wave.
Hi.
There we go. Okay. And Pat and I are also views, so we have 3/5 of our target audience right here, right now. Wow, look at that. Okay, so now that I wasted a minute and a half of the beginning of this podcast,
Tim on a tangent. No way.
God, that could be a fun segment.
Could actually name the first 5 minutes of our show Tim on a tangent almost every single week.
I like it. We'll get a graphic made up.
It flows.
We'll get a graphic made up. Tim on a tangent. Okay. Yeah, we'll have our guy work on that. Anyway, it looks like my audio is off to how I'm talking. Is it like that on your end?
No, you look all right.
Okay. Well, anyway, either way, this is low quality, so this is what you get at home. We're going to be doing like we've been doing. We're going to give you starts of the week, DraftKings lineup, couple of other things to talk about Dynasty football-wise. And today we're going to start our trade target discussion. Trade target if you're a contending team in a Dynasty league for the rest of the year. So we'll start with starts of the week like we normally been doing. But before we get into that status of the league, we have one 4-0 team left, and it's our taco. Our league taco is 4-0, which to anyone watching home means anybody can win in fantasy football. Even if your QB2 is Russell Wilson. Did you watch whatever they played last night? Because I wasn't football. Did you watch?
Yeah. I watched the ever-loving chess match that Big Al tried to convince everyone that it was so bad that it just might be good.
And Kirk Herbstreit flat out said, no.
Kirk was like, no. He didn't even like back and forth. He's like, no.
God, Twitter during that game was phenomenal.
It was probably more exciting than the game was.
I was telling Danielle, like, I couldn't turn it off, though. Like, it was like a car wreck. You just can't stop looking at it.
It was fun to finally watch Russell Wilson come into his own.
Yeah, Pete Carroll must have like 10,000 IQ right now.
Pete Carroll has had 10,000 IQ, except for the one time where he decided to throw the ball from the 1-yard line in the Super Bowl. With the exception of that play.
You saw Richard Sherman's tirade after the game?
Russell Wilson threw 2 picks in the end zone. I'm like, no, just run the ball.
KJ Hamler was wide open. He just handed off to Melvin Gordon. That's fine, too.
It seemed like he couldn't see anything coming from his right side.
He had tunnel vision.
That was what he missed KJ Hamler, and then very similarly threw behind. I don't even remember who the receiver was for the interception that cost him everything in the first place.
He has tunnel vision for Courtland Sutton. And on the play where he threw the interception in the end zone, Courtland Sutton was on the sidelines because he got injured or something. He tweaked his knee or something like that. And the guy replacing Courtland Sutton, and Russell's like, Courtland runs that route, I throw there.
And he threw it behind him directly to, oh, God. I should really remember this part. Gilmore.
Yeah, Stephon Gilmore.
So, I mean, like, that's...
Broncos, let's ride. Doing. Let's ride, Pat.
Broncos Nation!
Broncos Nation, let's ride.
Broncos Nation is very mad.
Yeah,
and
unlimited.
leaving as overtime started.
Hey, who would have thought that Mr. Unlimited was very limited in what he could do?
Go
Boy,
figure.
that's been it's been brutal. And guess what? The Broncos have prime time again next week. They have
If
Monday
there
Night
was
Football.
if there was ever a cold take moment, it was everyone who said Russell Wilson was going to be the NFL MVP now that he moved to the Broncos. That is as cold as it's getting.
Yeah, I
That's
didn't think
it's,
he'd be. I didn't think he'd be an MVP,
Russell
but I
Wilson
didn't
is
think he'd be
closer to being
bad.
benched. Russell
There's
Wilson is
people
closer to
saying they
being
should
benched.
go sign Nick Foles and have Nick Foles play instead of him.
Get Drew Lock back. I mean, at least
Seriously, what are you
all
gonna
were thrown to the other team. It was like, well, it's Drew Lock.
for real? At least Drew Lock would put up more than like less than a touchdown in a game
Had 12.
against not a good Colts team. Also, Colts, fix
Hot
your
Colts
offensive
team.
line. Fix
Hot
your offensive
Colts
line,
team.
please, because Matthew Ryan is gonna die.
I don't think they care about Matt Ryan.
God, well, they
Matt
should care
Ryan
about
can't
Michael
see
Pittman.
straight anyway, so
They should care about Michael Pittman and Jonathan Taylor. And hey, but also, you know what? Good job, NFL. You finally diagnosed a concussion correctly when a player's wobbling on the field and not letting them back in the game. Looking at you,
I was
Miami.
I was waiting for the Broncos coach to walk up when they were looking at Russell Wilson's film and be like, "But are you sure?" No, like he looks like no, but like maybe he's like maybe we make him sit down for like 5 minutes.
You know, rumor is they put Russell Wilson through the concussion protocol before the game even starts because they don't know if he's okay or not.
They should put him through every single time he gets back on the sideline.
Russell Wilson just eats a bag of chips. Oh, I don't know. That was a lot of movements to the head. We got to check him out.
Russ, how many receivers do you see out there?
Let's ride. No, that's not the question.
Russ.
How many wide receivers? You said unlimited. Okay, that makes more sense for you. What color jerseys are we? Purple. Oh.
Wait, we wear different colors?
You guys know I'm colorblind, right?
I don't see color. Thanks, Russ.
Yeah. One of my favorite tweets was maybe Sierra should give Future a try again.
I mean, it really felt like the opposing quarterbacks completed more passes to the other teams in that game.
God, and like, so here's the thing: Matt Ryan looked bad because Matt Ryan had like a second to throw the football. And the one
Matt
thing
Ryan
that we
looked bad all season though. Like
I know it's
nothing.
just that offensive line has just crumbled this year after being one of the best in the leagues last year. The injuries killed teams.
Injuries did kill them. I will say that.
That offensive line got decimated.
That they are hurting and getting more hurt every single week. They lost another guard, I think, this week while they were doing that. So, yeah, they're falling apart quickly.
Very much so, and it's affecting Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor missed his first ever game in his like entire career. He didn't miss a game in high school, didn't miss a game in college. This is his first game miss as a pro.
He missed his first ever practice.
It's wild.
So like, yeah, game, yeah, big, but like when you've made every single practice,
even like
forget
at the end
playing
of the
in
year,
every game.
Yeah.
It's one thing as like a player like that to sit out a week of practice and go play the game, but he never missed a practice before, so you know he's hurt.
But that being said, Jonathan Taylor will probably be back next week. He's got 10 days to rest up. Nyheim Hines got
Decimated.
knocked out. And then Philip Lindsay, who I didn't even know was a Colt before last night. That was a fun surprise. I kind of forgot he existed.
He was just elevated from the practice squad, and
Yeah.
Latavius Murray's the other side. But there's running back problems everywhere. So, speaking of trade targets, don't look for a running back because he's probably gonna get hurt the week after you trade for him anyway.
Correct.
So maybe pick someone different.
Yeah. All right. So we will now go to our starts of the week. Woo!
That was good.
Thank you.
That was good.
We don't have actual drops, so I feel like I should just do them on the fly.
All right.
I got a little thrown off when it said Patrick.
Bam! Thought I'd excite you for a moment there. Look at those names right there. Oh boy. I was gonna send it to you.
No.
And I thought that'd be no fun. So here we are. Let's hit it.
You go first. I'm still dumbfounded.
The Miami Dolphins are the worst defense against quarterbacks in the NFL right now, fantasy football wise. The worst. Number 32, they're terrible. Zach Wilson, first week back, put up a very respectable 20 points.
because he
He
caught a
looked pretty
touchdown.
good. It's okay.
Well, so
He looked pretty good.
I will have I'll have a Zach Wilson thing to talk about here. I was at the game this past weekend in Pittsburgh. Rest in peace for the person that died at the game, by the way. That's an absolutely weird. Did you not hear what happened?
No.
A guy fell off an escalator to his death after the game.
Yeah, that field sucks.
So, Zach Wilson, quarters 1, 2, and 3 look like Zach Wilson from last year. Zach Wilson in the fourth quarter, though, looked like the Zach Wilson that's out there banging moms. My dude was 10 of 12 for 100. You heard me. He was 10 of 12 for 128 yards and a touchdown. He looked poised. He looked confident. And he had that he looked like he had that the it factor that the Jets drafted him with the second overall pick for.
And what changed in that fourth quarter? The man that's sitting at my wide receiver spot, Corey Davis.
The Jets
looked
good.
He finally, and this is Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson throws to the person that he's comfortable with. He's not going to throw to the biggest guy on the field. He loved Braxton Berrios last year. Like there was no tomorrow. Once he gets that rapport, when he gets that comfortable factor, that's where the points come in. So, yeah, Garrett Wilson may be the best wide receiver on the Jets right now, but Zach Wilson liked throwing the ball to Corey Davis. Mm-hmm. So, neither of them are ranked anywhere near the top this week.
Zach Wilson's ranked, I think, like the 20s still.
Jam them both in there.
Yeah, so the thing with
from my starts of the week.
The thing with Corey Davis is 3 out of 4 games he's had over 74 receiving yards. And that's only one of those games had Zach Wilson at quarterback. The other ones were Joe Flacco. The thing with the Jets this year is going into week 5, they are 8th in the NFL in yards per game, which means the Jets offense is actually moving the football. I understand some of it might have been in garbage time, but you're still moving the football, which is, as a Jets fan, I feel weird saying they're in the top 10 in yards per game.
We're playing fantasy football, not real football. And that's an important thing. The Jets may lose to the Dolphins. Teddy Bridgewater may play fantastically. The Jets may lose, but a 38-35 loss is a big win in fantasy football columns.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be that many points scored. Don't get me wrong here.
I don't think so either. I think
the Jets have played very solid defense, and Teddy Bridgewater has his moments, but he's also looked like a backup quarterback when he's had the starting role recently. So,
and Tyreek Hill might not play on Sunday.
Right. There's big factors that go into both of their offenses, but fire up a couple of Jets on my start list.
The other thing is that they have, like Pat said, the defense isn't bad, so it's not like they're getting torched on defense. Daniel Jeremiah of the NFL Network released his top 10 rookies this year, and the Jets have 3 of them right now, which makes sense. They had 3 first-round picks, but number 1 on his list is Ahmad Sauce Gardner, who has, and the one guy, I forgot who it is on Twitter, so I apologize, but has a graphic every week called Lost in the Sauce, where he puts up a number 1 receiver on the other team and what they did. Week 1, he put up Mark Andrews because the Ravens throttled the Jets, but Mark Andrews did not. And that's who Sauce apparently was covering a lot of, was Mark Andrews. Jamar Chase had a touchdown, but he only had 6 for 26, which is nothing. And then this past week, Deontay Johnson was completely taken out of this game. Sauce has not been shadowing anyone, but he's been doing a fantastic job, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets start using him in shadow coverage now. So I'm sorry for Tim Tangent on Jets, but you have Jets on the list. I'm going to talk about the Jets.
That's half the fun of not telling you.
So I'll go to my quarterback star of the week, who was the first overall pick in the same draft class as Zach Wilson, Mr. Trevor Lawrence, who has so far this season looked the part, except for last week where he fumbled 4 times, but that's a rainy game. That's a little different. It was also against probably the most well-rounded team in football right now in the Philadelphia Eagles. They go from playing the Philadelphia Eagles to playing the worst team in football, the Houston Texans, who are 0-3-1 going into this week and who are terrible. I expect Trevor Lawrence to have a very nice game. He's still not a top 12 quarterback, which is why I have him on this list. He's probably in the teens, but he's on his way to moving up to it. I really like Trevor Lawrence against Houston. Obviously.
Houston defense puts up more turnovers and sacks than you would give them credit for if you didn't look at their team, because they give up 40 points a game also. So you gotta obviously look at the good when you're looking for fantasy football starts from someone outside of the top 12, and the ability for Trevor Lawrence to throw 4 touchdown passes in this game is way higher than his ability to give up 4 turnovers again. So yeah, if you're looking at that, even if he turns the ball over twice, what's that, a -4 on a sheet, -2 and something? So I mean, that's not going to be the thing that holds you back from looking for someone with a very high upside and swing opportunity.
And then
it's going to give up points.
So last week, for the owner that had Trevor Lawrence in one of my leagues, got -12 points for the 4 fumbles. Because every fumble, whether or not you lose it, is -1. And then if you lose it, it's an additional -2. So a lost fumble is -3 points. It's ridiculous. So if you fumble and then you recover it, you still get -1. But
you should get a +1 for a fumble recovery.
You should then. Yeah, if you recover your own fumble, you don't lose the point. It's 0. Boom.
If someone else has to pick it up for you, then okay, -1 maybe, because it could have gone either way. But if you pick up your own,
yeah, right. If I fumble and pick it up myself, hey, look what I did. I did that.
It was a trick play, everyone.
So now we'll move on to running backs. I'll take it first on this one. Raheem Mostert. He's the guy now in Miami. I think that's pretty safe to say. I don't think Chase Edmonds. I think Raheem Mostert clearly outsnapped him last week, and he's looked better than Chase Edmonds has. And the one thing the Jets defense is not doing so well of this year is stopping the run. Jalen Warren and Najee Harris broke off several 10-plus yard runs against them last week. Najee Harris doesn't have a high yards per carry, but the Steelers offensive line is arguably worse than the Colts offensive line with all their injuries. But I think especially if Tyreek Hill's not playing, Miami's going to run the football. You got Teddy Bridgewater playing quarterback. They're going to run the football. So yeah, I like Raheem Mostert this week going against the Jets. Should be a close game. So
I don't mind it. One bit. I like stacking today, so I was a little bored. So I went with 2 Jets and
you like the AFC East
Patriots.
This week.
I just really like the AFC East this week, and not because I think they're going to win a lot of games. Just because I don't think there's anyone else to throw the ball to. Brian Hoyer is still playing, or a very, very not healthy Mac is playing. So Stevenson breaks off big runs when he gets the opportunity. He splits time with Harris. Harris still has his thing, but usually I'll be honest with you, I started them both in the league. I have them both. They're both sitting in the running back slot. So I'm expecting big things out of both of them. And that's Stevenson puts up yards per carry is just phenomenal with him. There's still no one to catch the ball out of the backfield there. So, I mean, if you add in 3 or 4 catches for an extra 30 or 40 yards, you can get over 100 yards, get in the end zone one time. You're looking at 16, 17 points. And you don't have to do much to do that when it comes to someone who likes to break out 50-yard rushes.
Yeah. You and I were on the same page with Ramondre at the beginning of the year. He's a good running back. He's going to, we both thought he'd take over that backfield. But with the status of running backs right now, you kind of have to play these 2-headed backfields. Like in your league, for instance, I'm starting A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. The matchup's not exactly great against the Giants, but they're the moving pieces of that offense. A.J. Dillon's getting the carries. A.J. Jones catching the ball. It's got to... Like, what is
There's
going on right now in the NFL where
there's
the
o-
Jets and the
there's only
Giants are relevant?
there's only 30 healthy running backs anyway, so you got to start someone.
Right. So, like,
When
I'm
you end up
starting.
with double stacked running backs, and a lot of people end up with double stack because you like to handcuff yourself. You like to make sure if one of your running backs goes down, you get the other one. Especially when it comes to dynasty, you find a lot of people that own the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
If they got one, they got the other one. They go out a little early. Like if you had Antonio Gibson in a dynasty, you went a little bit earlier and got Brian Robinson. When you had Miles Sanders, you went out a little bit earlier and got Kenny Gainwell. And the same thing with Harris and Stevenson. Maybe you went out a little earlier. You paid a little bit more for one of them than you really thought you should have. But you stack them because if one of your running backs goes down in dynasty football, it's very hard to go get another one. So a lot of people have stacks, and I feel like a lot of stacks are playing. I've seen Miles Sanders and Kenny Gainwell start a game, and you can get a decent argument for starting even a backup running back in a high-powered offense or a backup running back in an offense that does nothing but run the football at this point. So the opportunities are there if you have both running backs on a team. If you have both running backs on the Jacksonville Jaguars this week, for example, I don't know if you don't start them both. There's just not a lot going on with running backs that would hold me back from maybe firing both running backs on the same team at this point.
Right. No, it's the world we live in now. What a change fantasy football has had over the past, even 2 years ago, even last year, running backs dominated fantasy football, and now you're seeing this turnover to being wide receivers. I do expect there be more regression to the mean where running backs are going to start getting better towards the middle of the year here once some of these like competitions, like the Jets clearly are having Breece Hall take over already. He had 17 carries last week. He's going to be taking over that backfield. Damian Pierce is now taking over in Houston. I think that's going to help build the running backs back up, but they're not going to be overly dominant like they've been when it comes
I don't
to
think it's
fantasy
going to
points.
be. I don't think it's going to be. There's going to be lead backs.
Yeah,
but it's not going to be Christian McCaffrey level because everyone's watched Christian McCaffrey get hurt every single year. The fantasy football players aren't the ones who watch top running backs get hurt. Coaches, GMs, they all watch top running backs get hurt. If you're throwing a running back out there every single play, every single time, they're not going to come back the same way. They're running through terrible offensive lines at this point in the season. They're running through 10-man personnel. It's not a viable option to keep your player healthy. You've seen running back contracts completely decline over the last 5 years. So they don't really want that either. If you're getting paid that already, Derrick Henry-ish, you're going to get that role. You're going to get the 3-down role. And even Derrick Henry doesn't get a 3-down role most of the time. So, I mean, you're going to see more and more running backs that are not workhorse backs.
correct.
So putting all of your money, you put all that money in Nick Chubb, good. You put all that money in CMC, makes sense when he's healthy. I don't think I'm putting all my money in Breece Hall. I think there's going to be times where Michael Carter's on the field. You didn't put all your money in Zeke. You knew Tony Pollard was going to be on the field. So, I mean, there's situations where there's a clear lead back and you're still not putting all your eggs in that basket because coaches are not going to put all of their eggs in that basket. It's not worth what it was.
No. And it showed it. The best example I can give right now is the NFL draft. Breece Hall coming out was one of the best running back prospects we've seen since Saquon Barkley came out. And he wasn't even a first-round pick. Breece Hall's measurables and everything, his grades were all in the higher percentile, and he still went in the second round because teams aren't investing a first-round pick, let alone a top 2 pick like the Giants did on Saquon Barkley anymore on these running backs. That just doesn't happen anymore. So you're going to have the running backs that are good. The RB1 on the year is Nick Chubb, and he doesn't play third down either. That's Kareem Hunt territory. So it's just prepare.
He seeds goal line work.
Which
Kareem
is wild.
Hunt gets goal line work, and Nick Chubb is still number 1 overall. So you don't have to be a 3-down back to get fantasy success.
Mm-hmm. It's essentially volume right now is translating into success in fantasy football for running backs. So we'll move on to wide receiver. Pat already alluded to his, so we'll keep it going. Corey Davis. We kind of
8 catches, 70 yards, a touchdown, 23 points. Congratulations.
He's good. He's good. He's a former first-round pick. He's got the talent still. Zach Wilson loves him. He loved him last year at the beginning of the year. He loves him this year. His first game back, he went to his favorite target. The second game back, I don't think he's going to target him as much as he did, but he's going to be looking for Corey Davis again. This should be a competitive game, so competitive games means running the football, but it also means relying on your guys, and he's going to rely on Corey Davis. So we said it's going to be a close game. The spread's 3.5 for that game. Now we're going to go to the game with the widest spread of the week for my wide receiver start of the week. The Buffalo Bills are favored by 14.5, I believe, last time I checked, over Pittsburgh this weekend. So naturally, my wide receiver start of the week is George Pickens. They're going to be down. Kenny Pickett's going to be slinging it. Kenny Pickett's going to be slinging it to George Pickens. He hyper-targeted him when he came in the game last week. He had, 7 catches for over 100 yards last week against the Jets. The Bills still don't have Tre'Davious White. Even if they had Tre'Davious White would most likely be on Deontay Johnson, because Deontay Johnson is still better than George Pickens. As of right now, Pickens will take over that team at some point. He should have been starting over Claypool to begin with. But Pickens has always had practice with Pickett because Pickens wasn't starting. So it's a familiar target for Kenny Pickett. It's a big target for Pickett. So I like Pickens this week. They're going to be down throwing the football. He gets 8 catches for 80 yards. It's a win.
It's a volume play.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a, you don't have to pick the winning team to win fantasy football. And that is, I don't think Pittsburgh's anywhere close in this game. That doesn't mean that I'm not starting Kenny Pickett, because the 4 interceptions he throws to Buffalo are not really going to make your team viable. But George Pickens is still a rookie. So he's not that guy who's going to sit out the fourth quarter.
Nope.
He's going to be playing the whole game, and they're going to be looking for something. Mm-hmm. So they're going to that team's going to be working on their offense during this game. And you don't work with veterans when you work with your offense. You work with your young guys. You work with your rookies. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Move on to tight end. I got Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas is questionable going into the week, so this is obviously if he plays. I think he plays. I think Washington needs him to play because Jahan Dotson's not playing. With no Jahan Dotson means Logan Thomas is the red zone guy. Logan Thomas last week had his highest snap share and his highest target since coming back. He left last year with an injury. He was still working back from that, so now he's getting integrated into the offense again. Tight end is the shallowest position in the league. You can have 4 catches for 40 yards and still wind up in the top 5 scoring in tight end. So it's kind of a crapshoot outside of Andrews, Kelsey right now. There's really no one else that's doing it. Tyler Conklin, I still think, is a top 5 tight end right now. So we can't even throw Darren Waller into that conversation anymore, or George Kittle. George Kittle is now the left tackle for the 49ers. So
yeah. He was wide open out of bounds in that last game. If only he would have been inbounds.
Right. That would have been
a crazy trade. That would have been, I would have lost my fantasy football matchup instead of winning it. Thank God. Unfortunately, though, he was all the way out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of your 4 catches for 40 yards, that's literally the line I almost put Henry on. I was thinking right around 3 catches, 20 yards, and a touchdown.
No Jonnu Smith.
No Jonnu Smith. Crappy-ass offense still, but 3 catches, 20 yards, and a touchdown is 11 points. And in fantasy football tight end speak, that's tight end 1. Congratulations. David Njoku.
Is Mac Jones playing this weekend?
He doesn't know. And I don't know because I haven't talked to him. Mainly because I don't know him, so I haven't reached out. But even if he is, even if he's not, I don't think it matters. Brian Hoyer, Mac Jones, what's the difference? One's older than the other?
Are they going to even play Brian Hoyer, or will they go back to Zappy?
Though, yeah, Brian Hoyer's out. That's a good point. Zappy is the other Zappy option. That Brian Hoyer is out. Yeah. He was hurt. But hey, Brian Zappy. I mean, hey, maybe
Bailey
you could
Zappi.
zap one into his type, whatever his name is. I don't give a shit. He ain't worth learning his damn name. He's gonna be done in 2 weeks anyway.
All right.
I hope I say that and he becomes Tom Brady because then they could reference this 10 years from now and be like, remember when that dickhead called you that?
He said it sarcastically that he's the next Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are our starts of the week. We didn't have an episode last week to go over our starts of the week last week, but
Our starts of the week 2 weeks ago, I put the numbers in there and then I deleted that slide because
neither
they
one
sucked.
of us were right.
We
Yes.
sucked. We were terrible.
Yeah, so take these. With
Oddly
a grain of
enough,
salt.
if we had taken our starts of the week and applied them to the following week,
They
we
were
were doing
good.
pretty good.
We did pretty.
doing pretty
We were
good.
just a week early, guys. So
We think that's why we skipped last week. We didn't want to go over that. We wanted everyone to keep the same starts of the week through that. Because Jared Goff was maniac. That was fantastic. Great call. I put down the points from last week and I was like, we should go over this. I'm like, wait a minute, this is week 3. Damn it. Let me go back. Oh no, let's not go back another week. Let's not do that.
And Jared Goff QB5 on the year right now. Wow.
They have the most yards in the NFL.
Imagine if the Rams had him. God, where that
They
team could be
still
right
be
now.
throwing 7 interceptions a game, so who would care?
Except Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee would not be getting targeted as nearly as much. Cooper Kupp would be. Tyler Higbee probably not.
And Allen Robinson might be,
relevant,
viable, but he's not.
No, they need Van Jefferson back, I think. Once Van Jefferson gets back, they might be better.
They need something.
Correct.
Maybe for Matthew Stafford to get over his Matt Ryan syndrome where he just throws the ball to the other team. I don't know. Whatever it is. Russell Wilson left, and now Matthew Stafford's the new Russell Wilson. Very confusing. Very terrible. Stop it, Matthew Stafford.
I wonder if
You
that
don't play
shoulder
for the
is still
Lions
bothering him.
anymore.
Shoulder or his elbow. Something in his arm beginning of the year. I wonder if it's actually bothering him.
Maybe he needs slinging glasses. I don't know.
All right. So now we'll move on to trade targets. So these trade targets, the way we're looking at it is, you're 3-1, you're 4-0. You have a pretty good feel for your team. Your team's looking like they're poised for the playoffs. But keeping this in the dynasty realm, trade targets for you to go after. We're just gonna give one each for who we think, like, if you're in that position where you think you're gonna be ready to take that next step, someone who not necessarily is going to be doing well right now. It's someone that you think in a couple weeks will start to flourish even more, because if they're playing right now, it's going to be harder to trade for them. If they're playing well right now, someone who progressively down the line is going to help. So to start it off, I'll go over with mine. It's DeAndre Hopkins, who's suspended for another 2 weeks, which means you still might be able to trade for him on the cheap. Not on the cheap, but cheaper than when he comes back. When he comes back, I wouldn't expect DeAndre Hopkins of old. I'm not going to expect the wide receiver 1 every week, because Hollywood Browns looked pretty good. But that's also the other thing. This is the best wide receiver to play with DeAndre Hopkins, so it's going to take attention away from him. I think you'll get a solid wide receiver 2 every week out of DeAndre Hopkins with a very nice floor. But that'll really help the consistency in your lineup. As far as Dynasty goes, throw a rookie at him. The owner. Throw a rookie and a draft pick. See if the guy takes it. He takes it. Okay, cool. Boom. Depending on the rookie. I'm not saying trade Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave for him, but
that would be a bad idea.
Right, but a rookie.
Maybe he wants Sky Moore. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. Try Sky Moore and a 2 for DeAndre Hopkins. It's not a bad trade. Or someone who looks like they might be getting into the offense, like Rachaad White. Rachaad White got future promise to him. Rachaad White in like a 3rd. Offer that up for DeAndre Hopkins. See what the owner says. The worst they could do is say no. But at least you open up the conversation and go get him. That owner might be looking to get someone who could play every week for them or build towards the future. So, yeah, DeAndre Hopkins. I like him.
It's between 2. But I'm leaning Darnell Mooney.
Darnell Mooney was on my list.
He has not performed well this year, but last week kind of showed a glimmer of what could be possible. They started looking at his way more. Now, does last week hurt you? Maybe. But I mean, it's still four receptions. So it's not an over the top. He didn't put up 35 points and you're going, oh yeah, he still plays for the Bears and he still plays for the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
So is he going to be super expensive? No, probably not. Is someone going to want a little bit more? than they might want for like a DeAndre Hopkins. I know it sounds weird to say. They might. Darnell Mooney's still young. DeAndre Hopkins is not. DeAndre Hopkins has been hurt. He's been on drugs. You know, he's popping steroids. He's having a grand old goddamn time over there. And, well, right when Hopkins comes back, I hear the new Call of Duty's coming out. So, sucks. But that's, I think if you could pull off Darnell Mooney trade for something not over the top to slide him in your wide receiver 3 or flex spot, I think you're getting a great value at the spot. And it's someone who's going to come into his own this year, just like he did last year.
Yeah. So if you go to look at Darnell Mooney's stats and you go 2 targets, 3 targets, 5 targets, 4 targets, that's just not a lot. But then you have to factor in the fact that the Bears don't throw the football. Justin Fields has thrown more than 17 passes twice this year now.
Their first game was played in a monsoon.
Correct.
Their second game felt more like their first game because their first game was played in a monsoon. I don't know if I mentioned that before.
And they threw less passes in the second game.
Yeah, well, sometimes you do things that make no sense at all, like, draft Justin Fields. Whatever, it's fine. Sometimes that makes perfect sense to someone. But they're going to start coming in. Montgomery's hurt again. Yay, congratulations.
But Herbert's Montgomery. A good backup.
Going back to what he was 2 years ago, Khalil Herbert is a solid backup, but when you only have one running back, you start throwing the ball a little bit more. You don't want him dead either.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got no running backs. And then you have to sign Mike Boone and Latavius Murray and pray.
Yeah.
Yes. When the third string running back of the Minnesota Vikings becomes your starting running back, you might be in trouble.
Oh, and for those of you wondering at home, Latavius and I are not related. I know. Wow. Huge.
I don't believe you.
But we are not related.
Got the same beard.
We do, and I just cut my hair, or else I'd have the same dreads.
Cornrows? Yeah, makes sense.
Cornrows. I couldn't.
What? I don't know.
I don't.
We need a subject matter expert, and that's not us.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a fashion and hairstyle expose next podcast episode.
That could go well.
We might get a bigger audience. Who knows? But yeah, no, I like Darnell Mooney.
Hey.
The only reason why I didn't choose him was there's a possibility he might be on your waiver wire. A lot of people did the drop skis on him, even in Dynasty, which I didn't understand. But a lot of people were saying to drop Mooney because they thought the Bears were done. But
which they are.
He's got a lot of talent.
But you don't have to play good football to play good fantasy football.
Kid's got a lot of talent.
Just look at the Jets.
2-2 Jets.
Ooh.
500.
Hey.
Woo!
Okay. Bring it down.
Jets, Jets.
God,
there's a lot of those Jets chants at Acrisure Heinz Field last weekend. I'm not calling it Acrisure, whatever the hell it's called now.
It's called something different?
You didn't. Oh my God.
No, it's not.
Pat, lift up the rock that you live under for a second.
Nope.
Yes, Heinz. They lost the naming rights to the Steelers Field. It's no longer called Heinz Field. But what that means is these little cups that they used to serve drinks in, they were selling in the gift shop or the pro shop. So I got one. Along with
the pro shop. What is this? A golf course now?
It's called the Steelers Pro Shop.
No, it's not.
Danielle, is it called the Steelers Pro Shop?
Yes. This is why the Steelers never win anything.
She's a Steelers fan. They do win things. Stop that.
My God, a Steelers fan and a Jets fan? I mean, I guess you guys get plans in January, huh? Smart move. Not held back by anything. Weekends in January, free to do whatever the hell you want. Must be nice.
Your Rams just started being relevant again. Stop it.
Hey, we won a Super Bowl. Shut up.
What's that?
That's all we need.
Hey, the Steelers have won Super Bowls.
I got bragging rights for 1 year.
They've won Super Bowls recently.
Recently? I was in college.
And that was many moons ago. But yeah, no, I bought one of these Steelers cups and a Troy Polamalu jersey.
I like it.
Yeah, Troy Polamalu is a GOAT. He's a legend. It was really nice in there. The stadium has a beautiful view of the Allegheny. I believe that's the river that runs through Pittsburgh. Beautiful view. Next time we go back, I want to go to Oh, Three River? No, I thought there's Three Rivers, and that's why it's called the Three Rivers Stadium.
Yes.
The
Yes.
Allegheny is the name of the river.
There are 3 rivers
There's
that run through Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but what's the river they were overlooking?
Right.
The Allegheny.
Yes.
3 rivers that run through Pittsburgh. Get it right.
Okay, there's one that's named the Allegheny that runs next to the stadium. That wasn't a nice gesture. I'm telling your mom. Anyway, we decided that next time we go to Pittsburgh, or we're gonna attempt to go to check out the Pirates ballpark. I know it's a football podcast, but
That is a very, very nice ballpark.
yeah, we found that the Yankees, because they already have the baseball schedule out for next year. The Yankees play in Pittsburgh in September on a weekend.
You know who plays in Yankee Stadium on opening day?
I know because I'm the one that immediately texted you when the schedule came out.
Everyone did. My phone blew up the second that schedule came out. The Giants are coming to Yankee Stadium. I'm like, oh yeah, I have to spend all this money on Yankee Day opening tickets to go root for the other team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who knows? Aaron Judge might be
And-
on in that game.
That's just what I wanted to do.
Yeah, Aaron Judge.
Yeah,
Will
Aaron
be
Judge
in
will
that game.
probably be on that game. Just don't know what color uniform he's
Yeah,
gonna be
he
wearing.
might be on the away team that game, but no.
Hey, sports. It's in the game.
Also, so if anyone's thinking about what the Steelers' schedule is going to look like to open up the year next year, the Pirates and the Steelers don't play at the same time in Pittsburgh because they share all the same parking complexes. So if the Pirates are home in September, the Steelers are away. If the Pirates are away, the Steelers are going to be home. So, also the hotels are outrageously priced on Steelers weekend. 2 nights cost me $1,100. It's a little rough.
It's terrible.
It's rough. The bed's
Terrible.
suck, too. All right. And now we will move on to
I believe it.
DraftKings, where I don't win any money every
So I know-
week.
I noticed your trend
Oh, I took all my starts of the week and
where
threw it in there.
where you took all your must starts. So I had a DraftKings lineup, and then I put all my must starts in and changed my entire lineup. Just that way, I did the same thing, and it felt fair. So here we are.
Okay, so we're not going to address
We
our
can
starts
skip
of the
all
week.
those ones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll speed up this segment a little bit. So we'll start at my RB1 is Dalvin Cook. It's Dalvin freaking Cook. He can separate his shoulder and still be fine. He's a little expensive guy there at 7,300, but he still gets all the touches. And they're playing. Oh, what team was that again? Oh, that's right. They're playing the
Bears.
Bears, who are
Sure,
awful.
terrible. Terrible.
Exhibit A.
They're a very
Saquon
bad
Barkley
team.
last weekend went off against Chicago for running. I think the Vikings are home. They historically play a lot better at home. They're going to be winning. They're going to be running the football. I had the spread in that game, I think 8.5, and I took the Vikings with the spread. By the way, I took the Steelers to cover the spread against the Bills, and I'm kind of regretting it. But that's a 14.5 is a lot of points. But anyway, yeah. Go Dalvin Cook. Woo.
James Robinson. He gets the football.
See
A
Tim's
lot.
reasoning for Trevor Lawrence.
He gets the football a lot. There's the reasoning for the pick. It's pretty simple. We don't need to overdo this.
Volume. Volume.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at.
Mhm.
And then, so wide receiver, Marquise Brown. Volume. Did we just not go over? I feel like we just went over this. Actually, I think you can just repeat it for all 3 of my wide receivers: Marquise Brown, Mike Williams, and Mike Evans. They're the only 3 healthy wide receivers on their own team because Chris Godwin is just coming back from an injury, and I just don't know what to feel about it. Marquise Brown. The other option is Rondell Moore, who was hurt the entire week, and Chris Dortch, who we've talked about, who was awesome when they weren't throwing the ball anywhere else, but now they're done with that. So Marquise Brown, 10+ targets, lock in 20 fantasy points. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen's out again. Congratulations. Lock that in. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin coming back from an injury, but Tom Brady loves Mike Evans. So fire up 2 touchdowns into the end zone. Call it a day.
If you plan on watching the Arizona Cardinals game this week, just start watching it after halftime because the Cardinals are the worst offense in the first half and they're the best offense in the second half. And I don't think that's a joke. I'm pretty sure that's actually fact.
Well, you forgot the one part where Denver is the worst offense all the time. But there's that.
You had to bring up last night.
I had to
woke up.
watch yesterday. Forget
I-
last week. It was yesterday.
I know. I woke up this
The
morning.
NFL
thinking,
should reimburse me for Amazon Prime.
They really should. I can't believe Amazon paid $13 billion for that garbage.
Amazon should sell the NFL right now.
For real.
The whole thing. Be like,
Yeah.
nah, never mind. We're done
Okay,
with this.
yeah, no,
we're done.
bye.
We're done.
All right. My wide receiver, Stephon Diggs. Bills should be up in this game, which means they're going to keep throwing the football.
The only thing I hate about that is that he's not going to play the fourth quarter.
That's fine.
It's the
He
one
can
thing
still
that
get
scares
his
me
3
about that.
touchdowns in the first 3 quarters.
He could get his 3 touchdowns in the first half. It worries me because Dawson Knox is out, so obviously those 2 targets, 3 targets are gone.
Jamison Crowder broke his ankle.
Crowder's hurt. Gabe Davis is still limping around everywhere.
Isaiah McKenzie's in concussion protocol still.
Yeah, the whole offense is a wreck, and yet still they're going to put up 45 points. So
most of that's going to go to Diggs.
fire Stephon Diggs. It was just the one. If 2 touchdowns go the wrong way, you could see that game fantasy wise go the wrong way for someone who cost $8,400. That was my fear when I stared Stephon Diggs down. He's on a different team in DraftKings. He just wasn't on this one.
Yeah. So we'll go on to my wide receiver 2, and that would be Mr. CeeDee Lamb, who has not fallen off a cliff because of Cooper Rush. You could make an argument that he's been doing better with Cooper Rush. We'll go look at his past 2 games. 12 targets, 8 catches, 87 yards, and a touchdown. And then last week, 8 targets, 6 catches, 97 yards, and a touchdown, scoring over 20 points in the previous 2 games. And he's going up against the Rams and Jalen Ramsey, who seemingly forgot how to play cornerback this year.
So Jalen Ramsey, and I was going to ask you, where does CeeDee Lamb play? Because I don't know where CeeDee Lamb plays.
All over.
As we discussed this, Jalen Ramsey, with the new defensive coordinator, is stuck in the slot.
CD plays all over the field
not,
for the Cowboys.
Not where Jalen Ramsey belongs. And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but if you watched last week's game, that's not where Jalen Ramsey belongs. I hate this guy. Jalen Ramsey, solidly stuck in the slot. So I think that's Noah Brown's spot generally.
And they also have Gallup back now too.
Healthy. I don't even know who's there anymore, to be honest. The Cowboys keep running through people like that. But the Rams, outside of Jalen Ramsey, and because Jalen Ramsey's stuck in the slot, have the worst pass defense versus wide receivers.
Yep.
They're really good against tight ends. You want to know why? They run in the middle of the field where Jalen Ramsey's standing all the time. Perhaps we put the best cornerback on the best wide receiver. No, we won't do that. We'll put him in the slot. Fine.
Until that happens,
and then we'll play zone.
And until that happens,
never
fire up wide
coming.
receivers against the LA Rams. So CeeDee Lamb at only 7,000 for a number 1 wide receiver who's been playing like a number 1 wide receiver. He is wide receiver 12 on the year. He's literally a wide receiver 1.
It had to be injury concern. That's the only reason I could think of that he's $7K is that he tweaked his ankle and he was limited the entire time. Either that or they're trying to just give everyone deals on wide receiver because Mike Evans 6,900. So
Chris Godwin at 5,900 for me.
Yeah, these guys are not going off at a lot of money.
I didn't go into this lineup thinking, oh, I need to grab Chris Godwin. I looked and saw Chris Godwin was only 5,900. I said, oh, you had 10 targets last week. You looked like Chris Godwin again. I'm going to take Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin, historically against Atlanta, has been a monster against them. I forgot the exact stats, but I think he averages over 100 yards and a touchdown against Atlanta when he plays them, and that's who Tampa has this weekend.
Do you know who else averages 100 yards and a touchdown
Mike
against
Evans.
Atlanta? No, Patrick Smith, because Atlanta fucking sucks. Stop it.
Don't you mean Smythe? I win. Okay. But
Maybe I do.
But based from what you can tell is from both of our DraftKings lineup, Tampa Bay wide receivers, between those two, fire them up. After that, don't touch them. Don't try to put Julio Jones in your lineup. Don't try to put Russell Gage in your lineup. Don't touch any Tampa Bay wide receivers unless their name is Chris Godwin or Mike Evans. Tight end, we don't need to talk about those. Flexes, we don't need to talk about those. So now we're on to our defenses.
I spent money.
You did. You spent $3,600 on the Vikings because they're
You
playing.
spent money too.
The cheap defenses suck.
Our defenses are usually in the twos.
The cheap defenses suck this week.
The
Let's
cheap
be real.
defenses did suck.
I don't even know who the Saints are playing, but I like their matchup, obviously.
I can't.
Who are the Saints playing?
Who are the Saints playing? I don't know.
That's a good question. We're very prepared for this podcast.
You picked them. I didn't pick them.
Um,
All the Saints players I own are hurt, so I don't care who they're playing.
Hold on. I'll figure it out in a second here. Where... I only know for a fact that you have a Saints player on one of your teams because you offered them to me.
Michael Thomas.
Seattle. They're playing Seattle. This might not be the best idea I've had playing.
Yeah, your idea just got a lot dumber in my head.
It did. However...
They're in New Orleans at least, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's a big plus. Seattle historically much better at home than they are on the road.
Saints
Carroll historically much better, and the Saints historically on defense wise are much better at home than they are on the road.
It's making more sense now that we keep talking about it. Yes.
But I will tell you this: I did fire up a nice Tyler Lockett pick in a different league, which
Tyler
was going to be this one. Well, the thing is, and this is my favorite part, is that DK Metcalf gets to go head-to-head with Marshawn Lattimore, and you know they're going to get into a fist fight. Someone's going to get thrown out of the game. It's just fun for me, and that means Tyler Lockett's going to be open.
Mm-hmm.
Because whenever DK Metcalf gets in his own goddamn head, he either puts up 60 points or 2, and I'm going to hope for the 2. Because he's going to be in his own head because Marshawn Lattimore's going to press the crap out of him.
And he still has Geno Smith throwing the ball. I know Geno Smith's playing like a different Geno Smith right now, and he's got like a swagger to him or whatever. It's still Geno Smith. It's gonna show up at some point, the true Geno Smith, and I think the Saints defense is still good. It's the reason why they're still competitive in their games when their offense is being run by Andy Dalton and the guy who had eye surgery to fix his eyesight that still can't see correctly, Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston's not on the field.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Even when Jameis Winston was playing, he still sucked. But also, side note, fire up Chris Olave this weekend. He has more air yards per target than Tyreek Hill.
Catch the ball.
Yeah, he has more air yards per target than Tyreek Hill does by a lot.
Nobody else to catch the ball.
Michael Thomas doesn't know what health is. So, yeah. Yeah, well, those are our DraftKings lineups. I don't think I had anything left over on mine. I might have had 100 left over. Did you leave any money on the table?
I think I had 100 left over, but that was it.
I'll tell you in 1 second.
I had a different running back than James Robinson, and I dropped my other running back and switched to James Robinson.
Yeah, no, I just checked.
That's where I ended up.
I didn't leave any money on the table, so we'll see how this goes.
There they go.
We did a DraftKings last week in our league, and I won it. So of course,
because he didn't have to present it, so that's why he won.
Yeah.
He didn't have to talk about his lineup. He just got to pick them in silence, and it worked out really well for him.
Mm-hmm, it did.
I will say Tim's DraftKings lineup this week is questionable, not because of the players he picked, just because all of the players on his lineup are currently questionable.
No,
which is very bold move.
Only one of them is questionable, and that's Logan
3 of
Thomas.
them are questionable.
Who's questionable?
CeeDee Lamb and Chris Godwin are both questionable.
Okay, Chris Godwin is not questionable. He got taken off the injury report today. CeeDee Lamb gets his veteran rest days where he runs limited practices. And Logan Thomas is the only one that's actually questionable. If he doesn't play, then I'm probably going to wind up throwing some random tight end in there. Which is going to suck, but I don't even know who. I'll find one. But it's probably going to be Irv Smith. Throwback. What a disappointment he's been this year.
Yep. Don't remind me.
Now I know what my dad feels like when he looked.
I don't even draft tight end, so I waited for Irv Smith. It turns out that big zeros don't help your fantasy team very much.
Now,
drop.
No, I'll see how much Will Disley costs on DraftKings.
He's touchdown dependent, baby.
That's fine. That's okay. You catch one.
He does not get a good matchup against the Saints. For tight ends are not notoriously not good against the Saints. But of course it doesn't matter because Geno Smith doesn't seem to care who's good against who. He just seems to just throw touchdowns to Will Disley.
Yeah, they wrote him off and he didn't write back.
That's it.
Who's got better close this year, Geno Smith or Russell Wilson? It's a fun thought.
Who's the better winner right now?
Geno Smith.
Points to Geno. Here we go. That's all you needed, Geno. Killing it.
All right, so do you have anything you'd like to talk about before we close out?
No, it's going to depend on what day we decide to record over the next 2 weeks. I will not be home for the next 2 weeks. So
Gasp.
we will have tablet and computer and AirPods, and we're going to call it Pat Smith on the road. When we pick out our dates, please do not pick Friday next week like you did this week, because I will be on an airplane, and Pat Smith on an airplane does actually not work well for a podcast.
So I'm thinking next Wednesday of next week because I have softball.
Wednesday's probably going to be the
Tuesday.
day. We may have to go. I know this is rough for you because you work early, but I am on a work trip next week. So I don't know when I get home on specific days or back to the hotel on specific days. But I will see what our plans. I know their big night out is Thursday, so
We won't record Thursday.
I'm assuming Wednesday we should be okay. I'm gonna check the itinerary and get back to you. But next week you're gonna get Pat Smith from Missouri, and then the week after that you're gonna get Pat Smith from Atlantic City.
So what we'll do is we'll plan to have a guest for each of those just in case something happens with the internet and Pat craps out.
That's probably true because you never know how the internet is at DoubleTree.
So we'll try to get someone who hasn't been on yet this year. I'll ask Alex and Dan because Dan's the new guy. See if they want to hop on and chat a bit about fantasy football. So we recorded this on obviously Friday night. We were talking about the football game like last night. It'll be posted tomorrow, which would be Saturday. So have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe, stay happy. Like, subscribe, comment. None of you guys are doing that because you're buttholes. There, I said it. Yeah, I said it. Prove me wrong. Don't be a butthole. Like and comment. Comment saying you're not a butthole. That's fine with me. So have a good night, folks. Have a good day. Pat, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
I almost hung up again.